Welcome to another episode of Dell Anthony Speaks. I'm your host, Dell Anthony. Hit that like and hit that subscribe. Hit those notifications. Give your comments below. It's been a long time. I apologize to my subscriber. Been dealing with a lot of personal stuff, nothing bad. Anytime you're trying to grow and manifest, obstacles get in the way and you do what you got to do to deal with those things. A successful person makes it in spite of obstacles, not because there wasn't any. So I woke up this morning. God bless the creator. Now let's get into it. I'm going to talk about a few topics. The first topic is going to be about the NFL and stuff like that. We're going to get into this GOAT conversation, which I don't really like having, as far as, Jordan and LeBron and my reasons for one or the other. And then we're going to get into yours truly, your Las Vegas Raiders. We fired Antonio Pierce today. So we're going to get on all three topics. We'll be right back. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Shout outs to DA Sports in the Panhandle area of PA, West Virginia, and Maryland. We'll be right back. We're back. Let's get right into it with the NFL. Shout outs to all the teams that made it. All 14 teams, I believe, with 2 teams in each division having a bye, or the number 1 seeds having a bye. What I would say is the Kansas City Chiefs, as good as they are going for their three-peat, arch rivals, but they definitely pulled the 1989, 80, I think it was 88, 89 49ers. They did the laydown game. I don't know if you remember, the Giants was hot from 86 to about 90, where they had a wrecking defense with Lawrence Taylor and the crew, and they messed around and lost the game. And then the 49ers, I believe, had to play the Rams. Might have to call my boy, my boy, partner in crime, Jess, because I know he was a big 49er fan. But we still talk to this day, 40 years in the making. But the Niners laid down. They didn't win that game. Benched a lot of players, what have you. And then that team went on to win. The Niners got into the playoffs. They won the Super Bowl that year. The Giants was eliminated. That's what your Chiefs just did. There's no way the Broncos are 38 points better than the Kansas City Chiefs. There's no way in the world. But they knew, Burrow got hot. Even though they lost some games, they got hot to where he honestly was the MVP if his team would have made it. But what happened was they were slick, laid down. They called it the lay down. Let the Broncos beat them. So now the Broncos are in. The Bengals are not. And that's the easier road. Nobody wanted to play the the Bengals. Nobody wanted to play them. Chase was hot. Burrows was unbelievable. T. Higgins came back. They started seeing what he was doing as he was getting his timing in. They're like, we want no parts of that. No parts of that. So they turned around and allowed your boys, the Broncos, to win. So now we look at, now you look at the playoffs. Okay, we understand little things. The one thing I had mixed messages or mixed emotions about is not letting Saquon Barkley get the all-time leading rushing record from Eric Dickerson. 40 years that record was standing. To say they want to rest him and they got to think what's best for the team, he got 345 carries. So how was you trying to rest him? So you put him out there to be your pack mule for what you needed your team to do to look good, and then turn around and the team sit him. And what made me laugh about the team sitting him, none of his teammates seemed like they came to the aid of, hey, let's let him get the record. Because usually your offensive linemen put their shoulders out, your fullback put their shoulders out. I was like, nah, we're going to get that record. He needed 101. And what made me laugh about that is, one, it was against a team that thought he wasn't good, that they even showcased it on the TV, on the Hard Knocks or whatever, showing that the team was like, well, we don't really, hey, let him get out there. We don't think he's that, whatever. And he had a chance to break it against them. And for whatever reason, we talking about the Super Bowl. We feel we got the team to make it. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. But that's not guaranteed. And Saquon is just such a class act. Like, that's legacy. That's legacy. And he sacrificed it for the team. But was it really for the team, or was the team self-serving? Because a few weeks ago, if you remember, AJ Brown came out, and when the media members said, "Hey, what's wrong with the team?" he said, "Passing." Now, some people took that to mean he was talking about Jalen Hurts, like, "Oh, Jalen Hurts don't know how to throw the ball, this and that." He wasn't saying that. He was saying, "Me and Devontae Smith was doing our thing, and I had such and such a yards with such and such a touchdowns. He has such and such a yards, such and such a touchdowns. And now y'all put this whole team around Saquon Barkley." And so there's a little animosity there that you guys, unless they win a Super Bowl, it's going to veer its head. I promise you. Because the reason he said passing had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been the same quarterback since they went to the Super Bowl the last time and lost. What it was is that Saquon was a Johnny-come-lately as far as they feel, and the Eagles kept throwing him the ball, running with him, throwing it with him, all-purpose yards. So when A.J. Brown said passing, you guys thought he meant Jalen Hurts and tried to make it a riff with a receiver and a quarterback. Had nothing to do with that. It was because they felt this guy's coming from the Giants. He's not even a part of who we are, and our numbers are down because we're featuring him. That's why nobody on his team, and I won't say nobody, I'm not in Lincoln Financial Field, so I don't know. But as far as I was concerned, nobody on his team was like, "Yo, coach, let's give him one half, and if he don't get it, we'll take him out." So I think it's more into that, and if they don't win the Super Bowl, more is going to veer their ugly head. Now let's give a shout out to my man. I don't like this team because the last time we was in our glory, this team beat us in the Super Bowl. But shout outs to Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Mike Evans. Class act. Class act. Yes, him and Lattimore have their issues where they seem like they fight and they get aggressive toward each other. And I think that's who's playing each other, Lattimore versus Evans again. The Commanders versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Mike Evans, class act. Class act. Hall of Famer, no question. Definitely in the Hall of Fame. What is it? 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons. You know, no matter what quarterback he had, you took a bag of cheese doodles, mix it up, and put some now laters in that, and he still got out of that with the G. Got to give him credit for that. Got to give him credit. Great job, tremendous job. Baker Mayfield has humbled himself, and he's looking really good. But I would like the young man in Washington to do his thing. You know, young Jalen Daniels, I know the Raiders really wanted him. People act so surprised. I like the young man's poise. Like, he's very poised. And everybody's acting shocked and like, "Oh my gosh, look at him. Oh my gosh, look at him." No. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. The young man knows how to win. The young man knows how to make a difference in the game. His poise is what he showed at LSU and everywhere else he played. He's a very humble young man, very good young man, and it feels good with all the credit that Shador and Cam Ward and all these guys get being minority quarterbacks. It's good to see one that is very humble, seems very intelligent, and about everybody and not just himself. Even though it's okay to be a little selfish to make it where you want to make it in life, but to see somebody so humble like that, like it's about all of us, not just me. I mean, what a difference ownership makes. Go back to the last segment when I get into my Raiders. One thing about ownership, we know the mess the Commanders was in. Magic Johnson and that group come in, changed the culture, brought in Dan Quinn, got Cliff Kingsbury, who we should have had. We let him out the building. He went there, and they look good. What a difference a year make. You know, as far as the other teams, you know, it is what it is. Pick them. I do want to get into this MVP topic, though, because people are claiming, "Oh, it's either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson." If you don't give Lamar Jackson the MVP, you're a hypocrite, because his numbers are way better than the 2 times you gave it to him, and one was unanimous. Now they're going to say, "Oh, but Josh Allen is doing more with less." Okay, head to head, he beat Josh Allen. So what? When Peyton Manning and Tom Brady was getting these MVPs, nobody cared about how many. You forgot that the Patriots was the 17-0 and 18-1. He had everybody. Randy Moss, Dante Stallworth. I forgot who the running back was. I think it was Corey Dillon. If it wasn't Corey Dillon, I forgot who was after him. But whoever he had a monster team. And you still gave Brady the MVP. Peyton Manning had Marvin Harrison. Peyton Manning had, I think, Reggie Wayne. The Stanley guy. Edgerrin James. All these other guys. You still gave him the MVP. Do you remember when the Broncos set that record that was unbelievable, but the Seahawks beat them in the Super Bowl? I know that because we did fantasy football, and I had most of the Broncos, and we dominated. You had the tight end, you had the wide receivers, you had Peyton Manning. They set records. I believe Peyton Manning's 53 or 55 touchdowns, or I know he was off with 50, was that year. They just happened to lose the Super Bowl. You still gave him the MVP. So how all of a sudden you can't give it to Lamar Jackson, you want to give it to Josh Allen, but then you don't even want to do a co-MVP? Where do we do that at? He can't get a co-one? You gave McNair a co-one. It was a co-MVP. You did it one time with Brett Favre, I believe, and Barry Sanders. So why you can't give a co-MVP? Oh, because we got a point system. It don't matter how you put it. Lamar Jackson is having his best statistical year ever by a landslide. So if you don't give it to him, and for those that like to be race baiters, this is not a white and black thing. This is a performance on the field and the eye test. When I put the eye test out, Josh Allen is amazing. But when I put the eye test out again, Lamar Jackson is amazing. So let's stop. Co-MVP or whatever. The reason you don't want to give it to Lamar Jackson is because if you give it to him, he's at a pace to be better than anybody else in the history of the game. And then if you say, well, he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, so what? The great Aaron Rodgers only have one. The great Brett Favre only have one. Russell Wilson only has one. So all Lamar Jackson has to do is win one. That's all he has to do. And you got to put him up there with those greats because he's changing the game. But we're going to take a break right now. We'll come back with our GOAT conversation before I top it off with my Las Vegas Raiders. We'll be right back. We're back. And you hear it on the ESPN, Stephen A., Shannon Sharp. But I don't really go into that. We go into my buddies had, they had a podcast. I forgot what it was called. Or a little trending thing where they was talking about, okay, who's the GOAT? Michael Jordan or LeBron James. But then we forgetting about Kobe. And then what about Magic? Here's my issue. How come every time, I'll say minorities, whether it's women, whether it's black, whether it's Latino, Latina, Mexican, whatever. How come every time we have a great, we have to put them against each other? I don't see nobody comparing Jerry West with Larry Bird. I don't see nobody comparing Jimmy Connors with John McEnroe. We could even go music. I don't see anybody going Metallica to Guns N' Roses or Paul McCartney to Elton John or Phil Collins to Michael McDonald. But every time people who look like us in the mirror have greatness, we got to always compare them. The only people they don't compare is the Williams sisters in tennis because nobody's going to match that. You can't say, Venus and Serena got that on Smash. But If it's Michael Jackson, it's Prince. Come on, man. If it's Mike Vick, it's we could say Lamar Jackson, but it's Randall Cunningham. If it's Emmitt Smith, it's Barry Sanders. Every time we have greats, they want us to fight and argue. Like we talk about who's the GOAT. Is it Jay? Is it Nas? Is it this person? Is it LL? I mean, LL and LeBron has kind of got the same thing, but then Jay-Z and Jordan would have the kind of same thing. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I think it's not fair to put people as the greatest because everybody served their era, served their time. People want to say, okay, for example, I'll give you a quick example. You want to say Michael Jordan is the best because his era was the toughest. So you want to say that. Okay, you know what LeBron would have been back then? Because we're not giving credit to that genre, but we're not giving credit to who LeBron is. The mentality is different. You can't say what he would have did there because Karl Malone was the second all-time leading scorer and was Superman back then and took his team to 2 championships, and he don't have the speed or the IQ that LeBron got. So all LeBron would have been back then is a Karl Malone 2.5. So you can't do that. You can't put Jordan in this era because they are too soft, and he would probably average 50 points a game in his sleep. You can't talk about Kareem, even though I think he's probably the greatest, without saying Wilt, because you can't say because Wilt was dominant and better than everybody, because so was Shaq. He was 325 pounds. So nobody could have checked Shaq either. So you can't make errors. Oh, I think Chris Paul is the best point guard ever, and Jason Kidd, and this and that, because then I don't care what you say, you better make that list with Isaiah Thomas up there. What the hell is wrong with you guys? How you going to say who's the best point guard and Isaiah Thomas is not even mentioned? Are you guys? And I'm not talking about the Isaiah Thomas who had the headband. He didn't know whether he was coming and going to Sacramento. You know what I mean. I mean Zeke. You know who I mean. You know who I mean when I say Isaiah Thomas. So there's no such thing as who's the great. Enjoy people for what they got. Because you can't say, well, LeBron is playing 20 more years than Michael. Isn't availability the best? Availability is the best ability. So now we're gonna penalize him for having longevity. But there's a baseball record. I think it's Lou Gehrig. No, that's the hitting thing. Someone who played the most games ever in baseball, like a going streak or whatever. That's what everybody talks about for baseball. But for basketball is bad. So you can make arguments of both. People want to throw Kobe out there. You know why I don't respect when people use talk about Kobe. Shout out to my guys at Hartwick College. We used to play Sunday ball because I used to yell Kobe all the time. You know what I'm saying? People didn't like Kobe because remember, he got in trouble in Denver. So people tried to slander him for that. They called him an asshole because he was tough on his teammates. And they called him an asshole or said, oh, he's this and that, this and that. I liken Kobe to Tupac Shakur. Now they're not around no more and everybody's singing their praises. But they wasn't doing that when they were alive. Both people, one is in rap and one is in basketball, called those guys assholes. And now that they're gone and not here to get their flowers, everybody want to give them their flowers. Oh, the Mamba mentality, the Mamba mentality. Y'all full of shit. Because nobody rolled with Kobe like that. Nobody rolled with Kobe like that. And now all of a sudden he's gone. And but you can't mention that without asking Kobe. You can't mention that without mentioning Kobe. If that's the case, Kobe was better than Mike. If you want to be for real, Kobe was better than Mike. He got one less championship in the same type of offense with the same head coach. And he could do things that Mike couldn't do. So you guys are kind of full of it. So to say who's the best and you can't do that. The era is different. The coaching was different. Do you think if LeBron James would have played back then, he wouldn't have had teammates that would have had his back and punched people in the face and would have got him tougher? He's 260 pounds and runs like a deer. He is Karl Malone on steroids. So if Karl Malone dominated back then, he would have definitely dominated because he had a better jump shot, better IQ, and can pass. So there's arguments on both sides. You could say LeBron James never had the coaching Michael had. Whether it's his fault or not. He didn't have a Phil Jackson. He didn't have a Dean Smith. He came right in after high school. How you know Jordan would have been able to do that if he came right out of high school? What I can say is what hurts Jordan's legacy. You guys want to say 6 for 6, 6 for 6. I don't want to hear that. Robert Horry got 7. And he was a key part of their team winning those 7. Wilt Chamberlain got, not Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell got 11? And he even coached in one of them. So let's stop talking rings. Everybody's only talking rings now because that's what makes the Jordan debate like fruitful. Because you could say 6 for 6. But everything else is an even draw. So why do we have to say who's the best? Now, here's what I will tell you. Why I would give the nod to Jordan. Because longevity and the eye test, you got to give it to LeBron. Because he don't have to be a killer. The logo of basketball is Jerry West. He won 1 championship. So you sound like an idiot to say it's because he only got 4. Mike got 6. The system Mike was in got 11 championships. The system that Michael Jordan played in has 11 championships because it won 5 more without Mike. After Mike left that system, he won no more. So you can't use that as a debate. This is the only reason you could say Michael Jordan is better. It's the same reason why you got to give Michael Jackson the nod over Prince and R. Kelly and everybody else. Is what they did for their occupation. That's the only reason you could call Michael Jordan the best. Can't call him that for fake numbers you want to bring out. To one thing about surveys and research, it can always fit what you want it to fit. But I can name a million reasons why Michael Jordan isn't the greatest because I'm been watching the sport long enough to say why he's not. But I can tell you the only reason I give him the nod. I give him the nod because what he did for the sport. He transcended it in households and how people looked at it. Just like Michael Jackson. When you looked at the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, the Osmonds and all that stuff, the Monkees and all that, white people was like, yeah, we got our groups. And the blacks was like, we got our groups. Oh, look at the Spinners. Oh, the Four Tops. Look at them. The Commodores. Oh, Marvin Gaye. But what Michael Jackson did was, you want to be starting something, baby? You want to live off the wall? You want to beat it? You want to Billie Jean it? You want to Thriller? When he did all that, everybody loved Michael Jackson. It wasn't a black and white thing. And it was the MTV era. So videos started getting popular. So Michael Jackson is who you saw. That's why he's the best entertainer. Not Dougie Fresh, even though, hey, let's give it to him too. But the greatest entertainer is Michael Jackson because of that. That swings the argument back to why Michael Jordan is the best. Because when you was going, Bird, Magic, Drexler, Stockton, when you was doing all that and dividing and conquering, sometimes I dream that he is me. And when he did that, and he did the commercial off the Phil Collins song, and he was in the air before he dunked in the cutoff, it's his Nikes, that made him the greatest. Because he did for sneakers and these young men, because the money, this is what y'all don't know, do your research. Michael Jordan was never the highest paid player ever. He made his money off of endorsements. So the commercials had to be how he made his money. Once again, MTV era, Spike Lee, money has got to be the shoes. So he got into everybody's living room. Like, that's why McDonald's beat Burger King. McDonald's don't even probably serve real meat, allegedly. But Burger King flame broils their burgers. But McDonald's is better because the golden arches was put in your little kid's face. Go, Mommy, McDonald's, McDonald's. So Ronald McDonald was everywhere. The king made an appearance like an eclipse, but McDonald's was everywhere. Marketing. So for what Michael Jordan did for basketball is why you gotta call him the GOAT. You can't say because he hit 69 points, he's the GOAT. Kobe hit 81. Wilt Chamberlain hit 100. You know, that wasn't Killer Instincts to hit 81 and 100, and Kobe probably could have hit 100, but they took him out the game. Wilt Chamberlain probably could have scored 150. So let's stop this GOAT stuff. Because in my day, GOAT meant you cost your team the game or cost them anything. You was the reason they lost. That's why you was called the GOAT. I remember saying this before on a take. L. Cool J, to me, the greatest rapper of all time because of his longevity, like LeBron, but he got plaques too. But people are using that Jordan argument because I think Jay-Z got like 21 Grammys, if not more. Okay, but L. Cool J built the West Wing, and he didn't have to use the N-word every time he did it. He didn't have to call women female dogs every time he did it. He didn't have to glorify selling substances in the corner to show our kids the wrong way to be or the wrong thing to do to get them in jail or dead or whatever. He didn't do that either. And he's still dropping force today. So let's stop putting our greats against each other. And let's take it for what it is. Because if you're going to say lyricist, then I can't look at Jay either. I got to look at Big Daddy Kane. I got to look at Lord Finesse. I got to look at KRS-One. I got to look at people that were spitting something for our young men and women to believe in who they are. Common Sense, Most Def. Like, these guys are lyrical. Rakim, lyrical unquestioned. I remember saying that to y'all before too. So let's stop putting our greats against each other and admiring everybody's greatness. Because we could say whatever we want. If our kids were LeBron James, we'd be damned if somebody say he's not the greatest when he is showing he's the greatest. But I'm not mad at you if you pick Michael. But what about Kareem? What about Kobe? What about Magic? What about Isaiah Thomas? Zeke, I'm talking about. So that's my take on that. You know, hit those comments. Hit whatever you want to hit, say, notifications, whatever. Let everybody know about this. Let everybody know. Because I'm dropping jewels right now. And I'll be back to finish it up about my Las Vegas Raiders. For my final take, guys, we got to get it in about this team right here. News today, we fired Antonio Pierce. How do I feel about that? Because you can't do it in 1 year. That's what I hear. I remember some takes ago, I likened Antonio Pierce to a substitute teacher. If you guys remember, I went on a spiel about you have a teacher, chemistry, all this other stuff, and then they get sick, they're out for the rest of the year, something happens, and then the assistant teacher or what they would call that substitute teacher comes in for the rest of the year. Now you playing checkers. Now you playing, duck, duck, goose. You're going outside when it's sunny. You playing football and all that stuff. So you love that teacher. Yay! Change the energy of the room. And then, as the season, shout out to my puzzle poster back there of the Las Vegas Stadium. Well, not the stadium, but the field. But you liken it to that. And then when you get the teacher, when the teacher takes over for that teacher and now have the new year coming in for the tenure, you realize this mofo is just a regular teacher. Damn, he's teaching me something, but we learned this in 5th grade. That's what Antonio Pierce was. See, pressure does 2 things: create diamonds or bust pipes. That's what pressure does. The reason I never felt he was a good hire, I felt it was good he got his shot. Yes, yay, we gave him a shot, yay. But he didn't deserve any more of a shot than Rich Bisaccia had deserved. He didn't deserve any more of a shot than Rich Bisaccia. He didn't deserve to give another shot like John Gruden or Jack Del Rio. It was just a feel-good story. And of course, it's like your kids. If anybody here in this chat have kids or in this YouTube, they understand what I'm saying. When you have kids always like the parent that's not holding them accountable. You could go mom to dads, mom to moms, dad to dads, whatever you want to do, whatever your preference is. I'm not trying to put you in the household you in. I'm just telling you what it is. If you a dad or a mom that holds your kid responsible and accountable, they're not going to like you compared to the mother or dad that's allowing them to do whatever they want to do. Oh, you don't have to eat your dinner. You can still have dessert. Oh, you don't got to do your homework. You can still go outside. Nah, you don't got to do no chores. You can play your video game. That parent that's doing that latter, those kids going to be like, oh, the best parent ever and ever and ever. But if you're a parent that go, boy, get your what before I knock your what. Oh, like me, do CPS. Because you're holding them accountable. That's why the Raider players loved Antonio Pierce. If you know anything about football, in a division with Andy Reid and a good defense, Sean Payton and a good defense, Jim Harbaugh and a good defense, why the hell would you let Antonio Pierce sit at that table? Once he hired Lou Getty, you should have fired him right there because you know he don't know what he's doing. Then we bring in Gardner Minshew. Then we look Devontae Adams in the face, promised him our offense is going to look like something, and then came with an elementary school offense. So he wanted to go to the Jets. He still didn't make the playoffs. So he's just like his buddy Carr. He wanted to be with his buddy Carr. He is with his buddy Carr. I think they're neighbors, and they're going fishing. We're such a dumb team. We lost 10 in a row, and then want to win 2 out of the 3 games. So now we don't even get multiple picks where we can maneuver in the draft. Just a dumb team. This is a public service announcement for Mr. Davis, Mr. Mark Davis. Please, on the strength of Raider Nation, sell your half of the team. So maybe we could get somebody like the Magic Johnsons and them people with corporate like that could get in. You don't feel at mercy to Jerry Jones because they got money too. And we could build this thing right. Burn it down. I'm going to go right back to what I said after week 5. Burn it down. Fans, stop going to games. Oh, I'm a real Raider fan. I'm not a fair weather. It's been stormy weather. Fair weather, I can understand you saying. It's been stormy. We've been a joke and embarrassing. The only team more embarrassing us is the Browns. It's been repulsing and embarrassing. You're not a good fan just because you go to the games. You're an idiot. Because you're spending your money to bad usage. If that's the case, you could put it in the stock market. It's going to do the same thing because you're not enjoying those games. You're not going there seeing the Raiders lose 30-19 and you're having a hell of a time. You could go to Buffalo Wild Wings or somewhere else and go drink beer. and watch the game. And if they lose, so what? It still ain't going to cost you what that ticket cost you. That's ridiculous. Burn it down. I believe we should trade Max Crosby. You guys want to make him the highest paid defensive player ever? Why? The only time he's good, and I like his energy, so I don't hate on Max Crosby. I like him. But paying him that money is no different than paying Dak Prescott that money. He don't deserve it. You ever watch him? If he doesn't have a Gakwe or Kuntz or somebody on the other side, he's not effective. Why? Because he overruns plays. All offensive linemen do is say, okay, let me use his energy to ride him out the play and then let him go bon voyage. You guys don't notice that? He's always missing the sack. He grabs the guy and falls off the guy. They fling him off and then they throw a completion. He always overruns the play. Trade him to get us some stock back because our front 22 be good, but the people that come there after we get hurt or whatever is no good. Why give him that money? Now you can't really go after a good quarterback. Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Donnell showed me something a little bit toward the end, but you got to protect him better because he's not really a smart quarterback. He was throwing the ball with some zip. He was running, but he's really not a quarterback in that division with Justin Herbert. Bo Nix is actually okay. And then, of course, Patrick Mahomes. We got to downgrade to get elite up here. Sports is always 90% mental, 10% your body, 90% mental. We don't have that. We got to burn it down. We can't get Bill Belichick. Mike Vrabel will be good. Herm Edwards will be good. Tony Dungy will be good. Rex Ryan will be good. You got to bring somebody in that knows culture of football, that can make people better. But we got to burn it down. We just got to. It was very embarrassing to be a Raider fan this year. All that promise, all that hype. I knew once Antonio Pierce came in, it was bad. You can ask my buddy Joe, that him and I had a long talk. I said, I'm not impressed with that hiring. He said, nah, he got a chance. Let give the brother a shot. I said, I don't go off of that. I go off, we're all God's children. We're all God's children. We are humans first. And I knew that I could have did the job he did. So that was not a good hire. If I could do the same job he did, then, hey, you can give me, as I told y'all before, just give me $500,000 and I can make them win 4 games. Get Mark Davis out of there. Please, Amazon, you got some people in your CEOs, you buy him out. And I promise you, when the right person comes in, first of all, the reason I said Herm Edwards before you guys go, Herm Edwards, Tony Dungy, whatever, even Bill Belichick, I think. We are in Vegas. You gonna pay these young boys money to go to Vegas? What happens in Vegas, stay in Vegas. So you got to bring a man. Don't have to necessarily be an alpha, but it has to be a man. Well, alpha would be good, but there's some people who don't play an alpha role as far as, but they still get the job done. Like, I don't think Tony Dungy and Herm Edwards come off as an alpha, but Mike Tomlin do. But that's who we need in the building. Mike Vrabel, I think he might be okay. Belichick, I think he might be okay. Pete Carroll, I think he would be okay. But you got to bring somebody in who the guys respect them because of their pedigree. You can't come in there and the players got the same amount of Super Bowls as you or more Super Bowls than you. They're not going to respect you. We're in Las Vegas. They said New York is the city that never sleeps. Nah. New York might be the city that always sleeps, that never sleeps, but Vegas is the town that people like to creep. So you ain't, hey, what it is. Go to practice all day with this losing ass coach, or let me go to Shorty down the block and she got some tit old bitties. Hey, I'm just saying what some podcasters want to say, but only say it for clicks and likes. I'm saying it for reality. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, notification, tell a friend about us, burn it down. To my grandbabies, Isaiah, Natalia, Pop Pop loves you. Till next time, easy.